Welcome back to another edition of Arizona Wildcats Insiders Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Hutchison, and we are getting close to the 2025 college football season as Arizona is now 3 days away from kicking off its season against Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors coming to town in Tucson on TNT. We've been breaking down both sides of the ball, giving you all the details throughout training camp. Brett Brennan, again, in year two, trying to revamp a team that went 4-8 last season under his first year as head coach of Arizona. Changes on the coaching staff. Dino Babers out. Seth Dagey in. Dwayne Aquina out. Danny Gonzalez promoted to defense coordinator, bringing in Josh Bringle as his linebacker coach. Dagey bringing in Josh Miller as his tight ends coach. And then the hirings of Joe Salavea as the defensive line coach / associate head coach, and Craig Nivar as the special teams coordinator. Now, Arizona's had a lot of changes on the coaching staff, and they needed it. They did not look good pretty much the whole entire season. Even the first game, when they dropped 61 points, they gave up 30-plus points to New Mexico. They did not look good in that game. They really never looked comfortable. Their only solid win was at Utah, which turned out to be a dud of a team. And just things were not good last year for Arizona. Not only is it new coaches on the coaching staff, but you have 61 total new players on Arizona's roster, featuring 20 offensive linemen, which is an extremely high number. Usually you set around anywhere between, I want to say around 13 to 15 offensive linemen. Now you're looking at 20, and I think that could be a trend in the future for college football with the transfer portal. Just the roster expansion. I think that's going to be a trend moving forward. But you still have Noah Fafita as quarterback coming in, trying to get, I don't want to say back in the right direction for him as quarterback, because statistically he didn't have a bad year last year, but it wasn't a Noah-esque year with 61% of his passes being completed. That was a low compared to the 72% the year prior. 18 touchdown passes compared to 20 plus, and then 12 interceptions. Again, another high in that total as well, being sacked 28 times. To go along with that, there are a lot of issues offensively, defensively, a lot of problems for Arizona. But training camp looked good. We saw the players understand the system both offensively and defensively with the new coordinators. Noah Fafita looked sharp. The backup quarterback, Brandon Dorman, looked sharp. You have depth at the receiving core, which you did not have last season outside of Tetero McMillan. T-Mac was the only one. You have depth at the running back group. That looks pretty rock solid there. Depth in the tight end room. And then defensively, I think it's the best secondary in the Big 12. I do. I think when you look at Marquise Gross-Killebrew, you look at Michael Dansby, you look at, I was going to say Tetero McMillan, but you look at Traden Stukes, Genesis Smith, Dalton Johnson. I think you're talking about the best secondary in the Big 12, because behind that you have Aiden Gaines, who looked phenomenal as well, and Gavin Hunter, who's looked really good in training camp. Plus Coleman Patman, a freshman that's been tremendous in camp as well. So that's a very deep unit. The defensive line, I think the middle is rock solid. The edge is where it's a little tricky. Outside of Trey Smith, there's no proven edge rusher for Arizona. And then it's a solid linebacker group. So a lot of new faces, a lot of transfers starting, but overall a very good group. But what was one of the main issues last year for Arizona? Does anybody know? Well, defensively, it was guarding the dual threat quarterback, defending the dual threat quarterback. Every time they faced one, they got absolutely torched. New Mexico, Dampier, 130 yards, something like that, on 10 carries, torched them. They blowed up 30-plus points. Kansas State, Avery Johnson, 127 yards, torched them. They beat Arizona 31-7. A close loss, can't remember the score off the top of my head right now. West Virginia and their quarterback rushed for 59 yards against Arizona. So you had these quarterbacks that were able to kill Arizona on the ground, creating issues defensively, creating issues for the secondary because it opened things up, creating issues for the defensive line, and really started a problem with a unit that was trained to sit back and react. That was really the whole entire MO of the Akina defense, was sit back, react, and then meet your opponent. And by the time you did that, they were gone. They were off into the running. And you never really saw a spy, drop coverage, anything like that. It wasn't well mixed, which was a little bit of a surprise. But again, injuries played a major role for Arizona last season. But guess what, guys? Arizona opens up its season against Hawaii. Now, although 39 yards rushing against Stanford from Micah Aldado isn't amazing, it's still something to look at. There were opportunities for him in that game. Now, he got banged up a little bit, but he came back, performed at a high level. But this young quarterback has wheels. He has good legs on him, solid arm. He could be a problem. Again, until you prove you can do something, people are going to question it. I get it. Arizona didn't do it last year. They kind of struggled against it the year prior with Jed Fish. They haven't been able to defend a dual threat quarterback, really since the Rich Rodriguez era. And Rich Rod wasn't known for his defenses, but when you go up against a running quarterback, a dual threat quarterback, and you're a coach that knows how to coach them, you become pretty good at defending them, whether it's Hundley, whether it's Marcus Mariota. Arizona did a great job in the Rich Rod area of defending dual threat quarterbacks. And you know what it was? A lot of spies. You had guys that follow the quarterback, a la Scooby Wright, a la Tremathan Bondurant. You had guys that would follow them and mow them down when they left the pocket. You haven't seen that. Now, Danny Gonzalez is a different breed of a defense coordinator. Again, I thought Nansen did a solid job and was getting that defense in the right direction. Joanne Akina had a lot of injury issues that he couldn't overcome, but a great defensive back mind, one of the best defensive back coaches in the history of this game. Now you have a defense coordinator that likes to mix things up. At San Diego State, 3-3-5 was Danny Gonzalez's calling card, similar to Rich Rod when he came over from West Virginia, but a more aggressive 3-3-5. And then when he was at Arizona State, it was a 3-3-5 mix, 3-3-5 multiple. And Gonzalez talks about running a multiple. And now every defensive coach really talks about that now. I don't think you see a set 4-3, a set 3-4, a set, 3-3-5, and you definitely don't see a 5-2 anymore. Or a set nickel. You saw it last season, and I think it caused issues. You're going to see different units, different schemes, different stunts thrown at a defense now. At an offense now. And Gonzalez is going to do that. I think we saw in training camp how they were able to attack the backfield, get back there and create havoc, and really slow down the running game at times because they were constantly moving. There's constant motion. There were switches. There were stunts. You didn't know where the blitz was coming from. If that guy was going to blitz or if that guy was going to drop, he keeps the quarterback eyes moving. You're always thinking. And that's the key of Danny Gonzalez's defense, is to keep a quarterback off rhythm. Now, can you slow down a running quarterback? Only time will tell. One thing kind of bodes well for Arizona. You don't want to see injuries, but Hawaii reported their quarterback was sidelined during practice this week. Didn't practice. But Timmy Chain, their head coach, said that he will be playing against Arizona. As of right now, he expects him to play. But how many times do you hear a head coach say, I expect him to play. He's going to play. He's going to play. And then he doesn't. And you're like, okay, what happened to the game plan? So you never know. You never know. Now, I don't know Hawaii's backup. I really don't. I'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that did know about Hawaii's backup. But if it's a system in place where they have similar quarterbacks, because this is a system they're going to run, expect a runner. And expect a runner in this game. So Arizona's going to have to slow down the running game, not only in your traditional against the running back and receivers. They're going to have to slow down a dual threat quarterback. They're going to have to do it. They're going to have to prove it. And I think it's going to get tougher as the year moves on. There's a lot of running quarterbacks, a lot of athletic quarterbacks in the Big 12. But this is a good little test for Arizona. Kind of a measuring stick to see where their defense is at. So it'll be exciting to watch, but we'll have more coverage as the week moves along and as we get closer to kickoff. So go to our website, Arizona Wildcats on SI. Follow our Twitter account at Arizona Wildcats on SI. Or follow me, Troy Hutchison, at THutch1995.